This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob. Now, today I'm going to do something that I normally don't do, but through the years I have ran into things that I've been disappointed about. And I finally decided I think I have enough of a list to actually put down what I've been really disappointed in. Games or companies or whatever. Especially when you've looked forward to certain things coming out and then they turned out to be really disappointing, a complete mess. And whether it be that, you know, the company folded in on itself, or just a lot of hype and then just not coming out and giving you what you deserve for your money, your hard-earned money. So I put together a bunch of things that I was really looking forward to and that really kind of flopped with me. So why don't we get going with this list? And by no means does this mean that, you know, that my opinion matters much. Okay, these are just things personally for me that I didn't care for, and you know, for other people, they might be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But you know, honestly, it's just an opinion, so don't take it too seriously. These are in no order, so I'm just going to go through these. If I was to put them in order, God, it'd be hard to really do. But the first one on our list is Skyrim, the board game. And I don't mean the one that's coming out from Chip Theory Games, because I know that's going to be great, because God knows anything that they touch turns to gold. I was really kind of disappointed in this board game that they came out with. Not the miniature game, but the actual board game. It was decent, but it didn't feel like Skyrim. It didn't have that feel to it. It seemed like it was the game name alone. The miniatures were beautiful. It just got repetitive after a while. When you first got going, you were like, oh, okay, all right, this is okay. And then as you got going, it got boring, and it got boring quick. And for me, it just didn't work. So Skyrim, the board game, I was pretty disappointed in it. Another game, and this goes back, and this is just overall in time, not just this year, but I was really looking forward to Myth. But the rule book was so horrible, and it was hard to understand. It had all the things that you wanted in it, and people really wanted this to be a great game, and it just never turned out to be good at all. And Myth was a massive, massive disappointment. And to this day, people are still trying to fix it, because they, you know, the miniatures were unique. There were just so many things about it that just, you know, it was one of those early Kickstarter failures that never did well. Another game that I was so looking forward to. I wrote the company and I said, "Oh God, you know, I would love to review it," and never heard back from them, I believe I had a couple of questions and they wouldn't respond to it, or anything like that. But I went on the secondary market and I paid a lot of money because I was really looking forward to this, and that's Stars of Icaros. This had so much potential, and again, it was just when you compare it to ISS Vanguard, Vanguard was just 100% better and put this thing, you know, away from me, and I was horribly disappointed in it. Paid a lot of money for it too, and to have that be as disappointing as it was really crushing in a lot of ways. But that's where, you need to do a lot more research, especially if you're going to go out and invest money into a game. You want to research it so you don't run into these disappointments. See how other people feel about it. Don't just take one opinion, take many opinions. And that's something I've always said all along. Let's see, what else do we have on this list that is just absolutely Warhammer Quest Curse City. When they announced this, I really thought that they were kind of going back to the old school stuff. And it was so hard when you love the original Warhammer Quest so much, and you hold it in such a high regard, and then they come out with this mess. This was another one of those things that was just messy from the beginning, and I think they were just trying to kill the Warhammer Quest franchise in general. They're sick of hearing it from so many people. And then when they came out with the expansion, and it was an expansion with no minis in it, just the rules, and you had to go buy the miniatures, and it was almost double the price and almost as much as the game, but there was nothing in the box. It was one of the most mind-boggling and most disappointing all-around games I've ever messed with. And to this day, it just sits there, and I look at it just to remind myself, because I'm looking at it right now, how disappointing this game was, and that it might be the very death of Warhammer Quest for good. Just a massive disappointment. It's hard to it's hard to trash games, and that's what I feel almost like I'm doing in a way. But I don't take pleasure in this, but I think this is something I've got to get out of my chest here. Recently, another one that's made it to this list is Warfighter Fantasy. This is another thing where it kind of runs into the company itself. I think Dan has taken more of a back seat, and things have kind of gotten weird. I mean, I used to have a great relationship with DVG, and now you're lucky if they return your email. I love Dan. I think the things that he's done in the past, from the zombie game that I love, I love that game, the Tiger Leader, Rommel, and so many other things that they have done. Warfighter. I actually love Warfighter, but Warfighter Fantasy is, not only was it almost 3 years late, and at my age you don't got that much time, but it was horribly disappointing and absolutely bone crushing in a way, because it's a company and people that I legitimately liked, and you have to sit there and you have to tell the truth. I mean, if I sit there and tell you this is a great game with a fantastic rule book, I'd be lying to you. And it almost seemed like it was such a pain in the neck for them that they had to just rush and get it done and just get it out, because, they've been, they've always had, things where they were always kind of late on things a little bit, but not to the extent of what this was. I mean, my grandkids are walking and they're talking full sentences when this originally came out. I mean, I didn't even have my granddaughter, when this Kickstarter funded. So, it's really tough to say it, but boy, oh boy, hopefully they fix this, and maybe I put it on comeback of the year. That would be a great thing. I would love to make that video. But Warfighter Fantasy is a train wreck, and it's very disappointing. Another one that I feel personally horrible about is Heroes of the Pacific. And it's not because this is a bad game. It's disappointing that you'll never get it in your hands. It's absolutely just unbelievably disappointing that this will never get in your hands. And it's because of poor management, people taking people's money and doing whatever with it. I feel bad for Yem and Clem because this is a complete, utter black spot on their career. Even though, you know, they may not have anything to do with it, a lot of people are going to say, boy, I'm not going to go near anything of Heroes ever again. And it's not because they make a bad game. It's because the companies that they deal with, you know, whether they had to close one up because of financial issues and so forth and so on. And you know, now here you are. Where did all the money go? And people aren't going to forget that. This could kill their careers. It really could. And it is really, really disappointing unless some major corporation comes in, buys up the rights, and puts out the game. And you know, but honestly, this is just another black spot. And really, really disappointing because I went on here and I told a lot of people to go, hey, go fund it. You know, Heroes of, you know, Normandy, Heroes of this, Heroes of that. I played it all. I love it. And, you know, for this to fold up, it's a massive disappointment. And finally, on this, even though there would be millions of more, but I don't want to make this a 50-minute video, is the recent edition of 40K. It is the first edition I have not gone out and bought. Yeah, that's right. The first edition I have not gone out and bought because I got to try it and I felt it is a mess. It is a train wreck, and it is the worst edition that they ever put out. I love the ideas of Space Marines versus Tyranids, but when it doesn't work, and right off the bat, because always with editions of 40K, things would get OP, and certain things would get scaled down, and the game would become unbalanced. So what do? They put out a new edition. This is just broken right out of the box. And I finally got to the point where I said, you know something? I've got every edition. I'm to the point where I just go, no, I have to make a stand here. This is disappointing. It's heartbreaking. I keep saying heartbreaking with these games. It really is. When you look forward to something for such a long time, and it does not fulfill or come through, or you know, companies just mismanage money and things like that. It really is disappointing. You know, and there's companies that have disappointed me. You know, Compass is a huge disappointment. I used to have a great relationship with them. Now, I wouldn't buy a game from them if they gave it to me for free. The quality is just not there. Some of the game, you know, you got to get, you know, you got to play a game for gameplay. And not only that, but when you pay $125 and you get virtually nothing in the box. I've done that a couple of times recently, and I just said, you know something, I'm going to walk away. I'm just going to stay with what I know, and that's GMT and, you know, Flying Pig, because I'll be honest with you, everything else, they just don't do a very good job with war games. And I love war games. One of my favorite things to play. But you know, another massive disappointment, and it's a shame, you know. But you know, we're going to leave the list there, you know, because I really don't like doing these type of videos. But you know, it feels good to get it out. But for every bad thing that we've talked about, our next video that you'll see next week talks about all the things that surprised me, that caught me off guard. And there's a lot of things that came out this year that have blown me out of the water. And I've just been, oh my God, and put back that enthusiasm about gaming. Put back that love for gaming. And we'll talk about that in next week's video. This one, you have to start low before you reach the peak of the mountain. So we'll be talking next week about the games that have surprised me and had just caught me off guard, and I absolutely love that have come out recently. So we will be talking about that next week. So again, until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon, everybody.